Hi, Alyssa. It's nice to officially meet you. I commented on your video that I could see it, and then I hadn't posted any videos yet, but I was really excited that you responded to me, and I wanted to open up dialogue and respond right back. The last thing that you said in one of the last things you said in your video, you were talking about your quote and how you resonated with life as an adventure of forgiveness. And you were discussing how there are lots of obstacles in that life and in our lives, right? And it is a huge adventure, and we're going to have to face the answer or face no's. We're going to have to face disappointments and rejection. And you had mentioned something about still living at home in regards to, I think, being maybe an obstacle that you're going through right now. And I just want to say, like, girl, I've been there and I lived at home for several years after college. I'm 32 years old. And when my parents made me move home, I stayed with them for about a year and a half. And I was 22 or 20, no, I was 21, I think, at the time. And then lived with them for a couple years, moved out to finish school, then came back and lived with them for another like 6 to 8 months. Then I moved out of the country for several years. And once I came back, I lived with them for another year. So I think, this idea that as soon as you graduate high school, you have to, what society tells us, you have to go to school, you have to move out. I think that's kind of ever changing. I think we know that college is wicked expensive, and it's more important, I think, to save the money. If you have the availability to stay at home, I think it's more important to save money in doing that. And not only does it benefit you financially, but I'm sure it benefits whoever you're living with. I mean, you help around. I imagine you're not just taking advantage of free housing. I'm sure you help them there too. So I think that's that was a beautiful it was beautiful that you mentioned that, because it also seems like you've done the forgiveness part of it too. Like, you're allowing yourself to do that. You're allowing yourself to be in the space of living at home and not feeling this need to follow what society tells us to do. So that being said, I also see that you are a 11th grade US history teacher. You're in your second year and you're moving up to 12th grade. Congratulations on both of those things. You seem really excited about that. So I'm happy for you. I'm also in the middle of a transition. So it's scary, but it's fun. And then you also are a cheer coach, and I danced and did cheerleading when I was younger, and after high school, I taught the color guard team, and I was just like, I can't do it. Those girls, I think it was 28 girls, and I was an assistant coach. And that sass that they have, oh my gosh, it's so intense. All that estrogen and female energy. I mean, I love it. I loved it so much, but it took a lot out of me. So congratulations with that. I mean, cheers to you for doing that. And you seem like you have the type of personality that they probably just love. So that's really awesome. But I also, at one point, when I took a long-term teaching position and I was doing sixth grade science, and it was the most miserable time of my life. I love the itty bitties. Those older kids, when they get kind of, it's a little bit harder to help shape them, or they've already formed lots of their behaviors, and it can be really challenging to I don't know, it was challenging for me to connect with them at the time, I think. And I made many mistakes. That was several years ago, and it was but I don't know, I don't think I could do that again. I would wake up in the middle of the night with like nightmares about things that my students were going to do to me, or what I was going to have to go through, and it was not a fun time, not a fun time at all. Um, I actually wanted to tell you your video. I watching your video, and when you were talking about what you had gone through with your counselor and how you had feelings of self-worth, peer pressure, and self-awareness, and just kind of that self-love. is what really inspired me to open up and share my story as well. I'm a pretty open person, but in this capacity on a camera instead of being face to face with someone, I find it a little bit more um, challenging to be as vulnerable and as open. So I'm really appreciative that you did that because it helped me do the same thing for you. And now we have this dialogue, and I'm digging it. I'm liking it a lot. But I can totally get that stuck in a box. You just feel like you have nowhere to go and no resources to help you get there. And I think it's really when you were talking about your counselor and how she was super supportive and that stayed in your heart and made you feel important and valued. And I think so often as an educator, we know that quote, it's not what you said, it's how you made them feel. And I imagine that most of us going into this profession of counseling really resonate with that. It's not the things that we were going to say for them or what we're always going to do. A lot of the times I think it's going to be how we make them feel, and that's going to be the biggest impact and the catalyst that allows us to teach them these tools or skills to cope with whatever they're experiencing at the time. I think especially in this counseling realm, it's all about, in anything, it's all about relationships and the relationships you have with people and the trust that's behind them. So I really, when you said that, it was just, that was like my eyes just lit up and I was like, that is it right there. That's it for me. It's about making what they feel in their heart and making the clients or the kids or the people that we serve feel valued and important, because we all are. Everyone is, across culture, across religion, across gender identity, no matter who you are, we all are worthy, and we all need to feel that sense of value and that somebody actually cares and wants to hear, wants to listen and allow us to be heard. And then there was something else you said that I also just thought was so accurate. And I think I can be a little bit of a perfectionist, and I always look for the answers, and I always want to know, I don't know, the solution to a problem. And this is something I am working with, like especially in my relationship, I'm working through not always having answers and it not always, they're not always being a solution, and sometimes just needing to let myself or my partner just feel things. You said you wanted to be an advocate and a guide, and to help kids not always feel trapped, and that you may not always have the answers. And I think that's so humbling to hear somebody else say, because we don't always have the answers, and we're not going to always have the answers. But in this capacity, it's like we can feel like throughout these next 2 years and our entire career, because we're always going to be lifelong learners, we're going to build those tools and we're going to find resources. I think it's really important, especially in some of the readings I'm doing, to that self-advocacy or self-awareness, and then advocacy is finding the skills and finding the people and the resources that you have to maybe get answers or maybe provide an additional lens or perception or ideas that we didn't have. And that's the one thing I'm excited for the whole course and for the whole program, but I'm really excited to build my resources and my knowledge and to continue to seek new knowledge, and not necessarily answers, but new perceptions and new lenses. And I'm really excited about that. And there's one other thing. Sorry. Yeah, you were just talking about always going through obstacles and rejection. I think there have been so many times where I get settled in life, and you feel good, you're riding smooth, and then there's like 5 more bumps in the road, and it's so challenging and it's so frustrating because you're like, why, I was just going through this good time and things were fine, and now all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, crap hits the fan, and It's so important to remember, like, even during the smooth times, that no matter what, no matter how good things are, something rough is going to happen and something's going to challenge us. But that's what I feel like is resilience. You know, you learn to cope and you learn to to handle those obstacles with compassion and grace and forgiveness in order to continue to move forward. And I just love that you chose that, and I love the way you I don't know, expressed your relation and connection to that. And I also really look forward to getting to know you and work with you and grow throughout this journey together. I hope you have a great day. Bye.